Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to the last call. I'm Punk Rock Ian. That is Gabe.
Hello there.
Hey, hope everybody is doing well. Welcome once again. It is Wednesday, and a show. We've got a show. A little bit. Well, I mean, it's the same kind of show, but I mean, I know we're not really like a we talk. What the fuck am I talking about? We do talk about sports a little bit more than I think that we do.
Yeah, we like to sneak it in every now and then.
Every now and then. But mainly, while we will maybe touch on the game just a tad, it's not the main reason we're talking about the Super Bowl. It's everything that happened in between the game.
The good
But
stuff.
the good stuff. And stuff that I was hoping was going to be good, but I'm probably in the minority where I'm like, I don't know about that actually. But we will discuss that momentarily. Uh so basically, uh I'm excited, sir, because in a couple hours at midnight, a video game becomes available. Um I'm a man that fancies himself rhythm games. I don't know about you.
I
uh
used to cut a little rug in my day.
yeah. Back in the PS2 days, I played Frequency and Amplitude. I really, really fucking love those. Those are the precursors to Guitar Hero. All right. Those are the games that paved the way. Um, but I never really got into the DDR just because I never liked playing on those home pads, the ones that like people with pets like they would usually piss on it at some point.
They were
And
piss magnets, weren't they?
and uh and then of course usually I lived in an apartment and I didn't want to be an asshole neighbor to the person below me.
Makes sense.
Even though I had a roommate that was way more heftier than I uh at the time. Funny story actually, which but anyway, but he was way heftier than I and he didn't give a fuck. But uh he ended up fucking really getting into DDR. Ended up buying like a full on fucking like real, steel stat like the whole fuck like shit you'd see it in an arcade.
Yep.
Um and he lost like half of himself, like weight wise.
Half.
Yeah, like he was like I I never really like actually got like numbers because like he was my buddy. I lived with him, and I knew he was a big guy. I'm not the asshole that's like, hey, out of curiosity, what's the exact number on that gut? You know what I mean? It's not really that never that important in conversation. But I would say maybe mm, he had to at least be somewhere like close to three or maybe just a tad over 300 maybe I don't know, and he was young though too. He was really young when I first met him. He was like straight out of high school. um but no, dude, like he literally like lost half of like what he was. Like I was proud of him. And it's all DDR, man. He fucking sweated the shit out of
That
it.
I love hearing stories about that because the stereotype is people just sit around on their asses in game. It's like no, he lost half of a person.
Mm-hmm.
That is
Mm-hmm.
crazy. And you know what? Good for him.
But but I mean I dabbled in it from time to time. Like I think if I had like his actual setup, like the real like what you play in an arcade, but like at my house and had free time to fucking devote to it, I'm sure I would have gotten into it. But I was really into Guitar Hero and all that shit. I really liked that. But anyway, what I was getting at though is there's a Final Fantasy rhythm game coming out tonight. It's got like almost fucking 400 songs and it goes through all the Final Fantasy games. And it's cool. It's used the controller and shit like that. But I played the demo and yeah, it's my new cocaine. So
Wow.
yeah.
I didn't even know they were doing something like that. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I saw it like apparently like this is the first time that this has been a series they've done for a while. It's called like Theater Rhythm or something like that. But it was on like the 3DS, the 2DS, like it was on handhelds. and this is the first time they've ever done a console version of this series. Um, but it goes through every fucking thing. And like I said, I played the demo just to make sure because it's a little bit different than what I'm used to playing. But once it all clicked, it was crack.
So
Um,
what you're telling me is,
come midnight.
yeah, I'll I'll see you in 2 days, sir.
Ah, but what have you been up to, sir? Anything going on in yo neck of the woods?
Well, um, I have I've had a couple of mail days. Me and Ian discussed before the show some of the pre-order stuff that I got finally popped up, and that means new stuff to torture our enthrall our audience with down the line potentially. The Forgotten Gialli collection was a nice pickup. Um, I also my torn meniscus seems to be completely healed as of now, so I will be
Oh
back
shit!
to moving around a whole lot more, and hopefully, not hitting the dirt pretty easily just by one wrong move of my knee. So that's been good. And the James Bond movie marathon, that's been going on, and I'm always hyped about that because up until the Pierce Brosnan movies, it's a joy watching all of those until you get to a certain part of the Pierce Brosnan movies, at which point it goes downhill pretty fast. But that just been doing that in work, man, and I'm enjoying the gift I got for myself. The sound system has kind of paid off in a very weird way. Mainly that I've turned my bedroom into a nightclub.
No,
So, you can turn the subwoofer up separate from everything else, and then your windows rattle, and everybody in the neighborhood wonders what the hell's going on. Did Independence Day happen? And is that why the windows are shaking? No, it just turns out I was watching the opening to Inception, and that's what happened.
What's
So,
what's really funny is that while I was on my trip, one of the many movies that me and my dad watch. Now he has a really good sound system and a nice 4K TV.
mm-hmm.
His subwoofer, it woofs. Um, but we we ended up watching Independence Day Resurgence.
Oh, how's that?
Yeah, yeah, it's a thing.
It's
It's a thing that exists.
Well, maybe one evening we can all watch a Hong Kong action movie and really put it to the test. That's the Undeclared War I picked up from Vinegar Syndrome. Not probably. I hope it is in the same tier as like Hard Boiled though. Because after you watched American Rickshaw in 4K with the sound system then, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, you did. So you got to hear all of that slapping and all of that just
That was
booming.
a mighty rickshaw.
With the sound system turned
Yeah.
up and everything. Was it just deafening whenever it hit?
You felt it.
See, I didn't see now. When I kind of know what your setup is when you go and see your dad. Now that's even better. Like the man has taste and makes sure that he is watching things in the best possible way, and that makes me happy that his first and probably only time watching American Rickshaw will be on the TV with the nice sound system. I dig it. I dig it.
Now, oh shit, I don't think I sent you the picture. Let me send it to you. I'll send and I'll try to put it in chat as well. So I ran into a situation. Hold on one second.
Okay.
Okay. So, all right. I have the Star Wars original trilogy on DVD that I bought years and years and years ago.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Now, this particular set, each movie has 2 discs. Disc 1 is the special edition, so they have never been removed from the case.
Of course.
Disc 2 is the bonus features. Now, they have it labeled as a bonus feature, which is why I thought they were able to get away with it, but they have the original theatrical cut of each movie as a bonus feature. So I would only ever watch disc 2.
Of course.
Of course. Now, as I have stated and you have been privy to see, I move a lot. And sadly, I have lost disc 2 of A New Hope. And yeah, it sucks. So I just saw, because I'm wondering if there's at least a Blu-ray or a 4K that maybe they somehow, because I know that they're never gonna just straight out market the original trilogy anymore. As far as Lucas said is concerned, that doesn't exist anymore. I think that might be a partial lie.
That ain't a partial lie. That's
But I'm wondering if there's at least a Blu-ray or a 4K that has somehow snuck that in as a bonus feature again. Because I think that you get past a lot of legality if it's labeled as a bonus feature instead of it being the main thing on the fucking why you buy it.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's how because we have the despecialized edition of the Blu-ray, which is phenomenal. And yeah, as Jacob, howdy sir, pointed out, eBay is the stomping ground for that. And actually, Chandler found a website that sells the unauthorized cuts of Halloween 6 as well. So a lot of stuff is out there, and I would recommend upgrading it to Blu-ray because it is a
well, apparently, I don't know if it's this month or next month, or it might have been May. It's sometime this year, relatively soon. They're putting out a steelbook trilogy of 4K of the original, or of the the original trilogy. No idea if the what I'm looking for is on it, but whatchamacallit, I saw this and it kind of fucking, I don't want to be this guy. All right, I don't want to be that guy. But Gabe, if you'll allow me for at least a second,
go ahead.
I need to be that guy.
Go for it.
I like everything I'm seeing so far. Like I said, I didn't research if it probably doesn't, but I'm liking the steelbook. I'm liking the art. But notice what is on the front of the steelbook at the very top and center of the case. Let's see if I can. It's got that Disney 100 logo.
Oh.
And now I'm not that guy, that's like, I wish Star Wars it wasn't owned by Disney. I don't give a fuck. All right. Did they fuck a lot of shit up? Yeah, I know. Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, I'm like, it stops at 7. I'm okay with 7. The rest, fever dream. But just aesthetically,
it's not pleasing.
It's not pleasing. Laura, I'm like, I don't want that. I don't want the mouse all over my R2.
Oh, I thought we had a problem. Yeah, I don't mind it on the side as much, but the interior looks good. The discs look good.
Put it in the general.
Looks good, except for the damn top of it. Like that actually. Ian, may I nerd out for a moment?
Go for it.
So when I was doing design for publication and things, they talk about using your negative space and making good use of it. And if you don't have anything worth putting in it, don't fucking put anything in it. So, sorry. Ooh. lost a little, got a little unhinged there for a second. But
Oh, does
that
Jacob
said,
need a link to the Discord?
oh, is he not in the Discord? Oh shit. Well, I can take care of that.
All right,
Damn.
but continue,
Oh
sir.
wait, no, he is in there. He is in there. He is in there.
Hmm.
He is. He's Sheriff Brackett.
Oh, of course. There we go.
Of course.
It's just, I see two names. I'm terrible with names. Anyway, go ahead.
And very clearly I am too. But that just seems like it was like a tacked on thing at the end, because if you look at the way that R2 is centered on it and the text below it, your eyes are going to be drawn into that in the middle anyway, and it doesn't have to be perfectly centered on it. And the amount of negative space that you have at the top, one of two things: you could leave it like that and it would look like there's something missing from it, but I don't think it would be too jarring on the eyes, or they could have just moved it up. But Disney had to get their shit in,
And I get it.
Put
You know,
those
it's
up
not
there.
it's not like I'm like totally like, why the hell does this even you know, I understand why they would want to do that. I'm just saying
it's
you need to know your audience. You know, it and I don't think anybody, well, I mean, I know there's going to be a group of people who really just don't give a fuck, but but still, I'm just like, I want to watch Star Wars. I don't want to have the big mouse logo. You know, I don't want to have it say Disney on it. I don't want it to say Disney's Star Wars, even though I know that's what it is. I'm fine that that's what it is. I just don't want to be reminded that it is.
And I know I'm comparing Disney to a distributor that I love. That's not Disney. But Kino Lorber. We're big fans of Kino Lorber in this house because Kino puts out Kino. They put out Cannibals in the Streets on Blu-ray, which was unexpected. They put out, the Man with No Name trilogy. They put out Kino classics, and then they have Kino International and all of that. But when they do something that's like from their reserve collection, and I don't want to get up to go get it. Actually, is more the reason why. $5 for an August Moon was part of the Kino International. And they have a separate logo, but they don't put it on the cover at the front and center. I think they either put it in the bottom left corner of the poster, which I'm fine with, or they put it on the spine. I know they put it on the spine. But that box though looks fine. If you just put the Disney 100 on the spine, or hell, even engraved down at the bottom, I'd be okay with that, because you're right. I don't want to be reminded of it, but
I think
you can put it out there still.
I think to further emphasize what my issue with, because I'm sitting here, and as I'm thinking, if it was a different company, say it was a Godzilla collection, and yeah, I mean, obviously this is not an exact comparison, but just say it was a Godzilla collection and you got the Toho fucking logo up there. You're fine with that. You're fine with that. What I have a problem with is that Disney logo looks very childish.
Yeah.
And it reminds you of the fact that Disney primarily does stuff for children. Not all stuff, but that, and yes, Star Wars is for children. But I don't need to be reminded that it's for children.
Can I throw an asterisk onto that? Is it really for children? Or was it for children that grew up in the 70s, 80s, and then it was slowly passed down? Because,
well, George
frankly
Lucas
speaking,
would regularly say that, but, it, like I said, he said that also the prequel, hey, Lucy!
Lucy, welcome.
He also said the prequels were for children, but yet it's all about fucking taxes and blockades and fucking political shit that no kid has any interest or knowledge in.
It's about that. It's about boning the princess that you're not supposed to be boning. It's about growing up. It's a coming of age tale in more ways than one.
But there's Jar Jar.
Yeah, well, Yeah, we can't all have winners. But to go back to my point about putting the logo in a place that doesn't necessarily take getting your shit in at the same time that you're also not destroying something that looks good. The $5 for the August Moon trailer has the Kino Classics in the upper left corner. It's already a busy poster, so it doesn't exactly take away from it. That's such a clean steelbook that honestly, even putting Star Wars on the front of it and not just putting the R2 on it, it's kind of, I think it's kind of lame. Like, that is such a clean-looking steelbook. If it just had R2 on it, and then just had the name on the spine, that would be perfect.
Yeah.
But even, yeah, that one stings a little bit, because I actually think it looks kind of...
I've seen the inside of the other ones too for the other movies, not just the one that's in that picture, and it all looks so good. Like, I'm like, this is such an awesome looking set, except for that fucking Disney thing on them. It's like buying a really awesome like car that's your favorite color, except the hood is a different color.
Damn. Yeah. Okay. That's perfect. Oh, it hurts so bad though, because now I've got all these variations on that steelbook in my head now, and I'm like, all of them look better to me now.
Now, like I said, I didn't get a chance to see what all is on them. In the off chance, which I seriously doubt, but in the off chance what I'm looking for is on those, I don't give a fuck. I'll be fine with the Disney logo on there.
That's fair.
Because then at least I get it. I get it the way that I want. But you mentioned that we had been watching some Bond as the Bond marathon continues. And you mentioned GoldenEye specifically, and I wanted to talk a little bit of GoldenEye because, like I said, I may be biased because that was my first Bond movie as a person, as a human being on this planet, and I just don't think you get much better than that. like in terms of like, I mean, you can get more sophisticated because I know when you get to the Daniel Craig ones, they're it's more traditional, like more modern movie, how things work in action movies and shit now. But in terms of straight up goofy Bond action with a good story, GoldenEye's, and what a debut for a new Bond.
Yep. And that one, there was two things that we noticed when we watched it. One, you can tell that it was written for Timothy Dalton originally. The action that takes place, all of Timothy Dalton's Bond movies involve something in airplanes and things getting thrown out of them, and that one was no slouch on high places and getting thrown out of shit.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I noticed, in particular with that too, was that it was goofy, but not so goofy. Again, aching back a little bit to the Timothy Dalton thing, which is even funnier because Pierce Brosnan was supposed to be the Bond when Timothy Dalton was. Actually, I think he was supposed to be towards the end of Roger Moore's tenure. So
yeah, I think I remember hearing about that too. I remember, like it was, and but you know what? It worked out the way that it was supposed to.
Even though I would love to see the Dalton version of GoldenEye because the script is different. So there could have been other gold, but guess what? Dalton had 2 bangers in a row. And
I'm just trying to, because when we watched the Dalton, like I said, I'm like, he was fucking smooth pimp. He played the role well, and I'm imagining the scene in GoldenEye where it is actually Bond and Xena on the top in the towels. That would have been played out a little bit different.
Well,
you imagine her trying
to
just trying to imagine her put the squeeze on Dalton instead.
She couldn't wrap her thighs around him for how big his balls are for going after an entire cartel by himself.
But it it was perfect though because like I said, I like it came out in '95, but it feels like it could have come out later than '95. But at the same time, it has a feel of something of before '90. It's this weird, timeless Bond movie, but yet it. I don't know. There's just something about it that's just fucking the story, everything, the action.
The story would not have happened if the Berlin Wall had not fallen, because I mean the whole thing centers around it being post Cold War, but post Cold War in that weird little transition period, that's prime because they focused on real life stuff that was going on at the time, which was KGB agents lost their jobs at like the morning that the Soviet Union fell, and what did they do? They became mobsters by using their connections, and they were ruthless as shit. And you got to see that firsthand. Like it's a interesting cultural artifact of the Cold War, but it takes place after the Cold War. Go.
I'm gonna make it an observation here, and I may be wrong, but I don't know. This may just be my fucked up mind registering something, but. Think back to the movie Batman Forever. Now, I understand that that's a very fucking different movie than GoldenEye. But I understand that Gotham and in the Batman movie there, that it's a fucking comic book. It's supposed to have its camp to it and whatnot. But think of the architecture and everything and how the buildings looked, how statues looked. And because like I've got the IMDb on GoldenEye up and it's playing the trailer on loop. And I'm like, aside from like maybe just some of the outside, like the part where they're racing in the car and everything, and I'm like, if you take out the comic book cheese, I'm like, it looks like it's like the same type of architecture and everything, especially when they're in the graveyard with the stone statue heads and everything.
The Cold War graveyard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I noticed something. And like I said, I've watched this movie so many times. I always forgot. I'm like, oh, fucking 006. Alec, that's Sean Bean. And I was just like, you never fully know how crazy, like full his career is. Because like I said, I go at least every year I find one or two things. I'm like, oh shit, there's Sean Bean.
And you're just like, oh. I forgot, even though I just watched this movie, 6 months ago. I always forget that he's in it.
Mm-hmm. And I checked it out here. He started, the first thing that he has listed, at least on here on the IMDb's, is 1984. So his acting career was conceived around the same time as me. And he's still going. He's still going.
That bravo. Too bad we can't get a multiverse of James Bond movie.
Now, my main thing here that I wanted to investigate, while Pierce Brosnan, awesome actor. His career has kept going. We know Alan Cummings is in it as Boris, who is invincible. He's done. I mean, he's all, like I said, Nightcrawler, which Nightcrawler's invisible. But I was thinking about what's her name, Natalia in the movie, and I'm like, what the fuck else has she done? And it's just like, she's done some stuff, but not a whole lot. It looks like she was in Exorcist the beginning.
Oh, that hurts.
Something called Cougar Club.
Interesting. You have my attention.
Love is a drug. But Vertical Limit. Why does that sound familiar?
That is a Chris O'Donnell movie with some of the worst acting in the opening scene ever.
Well, she was in
She was
it.
probably the best part of that movie.
And then I also wanted to look up the lady that played Xena on top. Which, oh, that's you know what connection I just made, right? Because I did not realize this was the same person. I did not realize in the OG X-Men trilogy that she was Jean Grey.
That's Jean Grey. Yep. I thought you were either gonna go that
Oh,
the Faculty, but
oh, that hurts. That's like, I'm not going to sit here and put the original X-Men on like a high pedestal. I just like it's a good milestone in comic book film history is what it is. That's why I appreciate that trilogy. But oh, that's just like finding out that your mom would like used to be a stripper.
well,
Ah.
Famke can be remembered in this because I didn't even know that this was a term. She's listed as a lust murderer in this lovely film, which actually has another term, sexual homicide, and it is closely associated with the term erotophonophilia. So they did some serious diving to get her character because that is an actual fucking thing. And we'll also get to bring that back up again when we talk about Joe Bob a little bit later.
But GoldenEye classic. Not to say that the other Pierce Bond movies aren't as good, but it's like I can watch GoldenEye and have wonder like in my eyes. But the other ones, I'm like, these are all right, but it's not as cool as GoldenEye. Like I liked I think it was the one after where the villain was the media guy.
Yeah, that's actually that's the Metal Gear Solid 2 of the James Bond movies.
Yeah. So it's like I'm like that's a good, that's good. Like that, like I said, it's not that they're bad. It's just that for some reason it's like you started at a 15 and and then you brought it down to like an 8, which an 8 is still fucking solid, but we were just at a 15.
And then after Tomorrow Never Dies, you throw the lead weight onto the movie. I will say that The World Is Not Enough is at least
That's the Denise Richards one, right?
Yeah, it's stupid, but it's passable, and it has one of the better songs that they did for the movie. Shout out Garbage.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But then we don't talk about the fourth one. We have to watch it, but we don't talk about the fourth one.
I thought he only did the 3. Wait, what was the 4th one?
Die Another Day.
Die Another Day.
Madonna song.
Oh.
Halle Berry's the Bond girl, which was a nice,
oh, okay. I thought she was. No, the second one was the other girl then. Okay, I thought Halle Berry was the second one, but no, she was the 4th one. Because all of the Pierce ones I saw in the theater except for GoldenEye. GoldenEye was the only one I didn't see in the theater. But I saw all the other ones.
And I think I actually got to see GoldenEye in the theater, so I feel bad for that one because you should have seen it in the theater. So you should have.
Well, sir, I have to ask because I had an adventure while over the weekend. So I have a tale to tell of mine. But did you partake in watching any of the Super Bowls, sir?
So I did, but I have to throw an asterisk on that. We were all having such a wonderful time. We did watch some of the commercials, and I wasn't quite blown away. There is one that I want to bring up if you don't. And I actually had a fun time watching the game, even though I'm still questioning that blown call at the end.
But,
yeah. I'm not going to get into that because the lesser of two evils won in that case, but not a Philly fan. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It was mainly like every Super Bowl for me because the Jets haven't been to a Super Bowl since It's been a bit. Um, we had we had some friends over. We ate a lot of food. We cooked a lot of wings. We made sliders out of meatballs and burgers, so you had something a little spicy if you wanted. It was a fun time. Even if again the trailers I didn't really. In general, Ian, were you blown away by the commercials or any of that shit this year?
No. And I not at all. There's only one commercial that consistently made me laugh like throughout the whole commercial. There was one that I was expecting, but I was kind of expecting it to be something else, and when I saw it, I was like, that's a fucking tragedy. and these aren't, I'm not referring to any of the trailers. These are just the straight up commercials themselves.
Right.
But I think part of it was, like I said, this was the most expensive price tag for ad time during a Super Bowl this year. And I think it was like about $8 million, something like that. So the only companies that are going to do anything that's more than 30 seconds are the big time ones that can afford it. But the fact that they're going to put that much money into just buying the space, that means the commercials themselves get less of a budget, I imagine. So, basically we're just looking for the shiniest rock that's scuffed up. But the only one that, and I don't even remember what the fuck they were trying to sell. I don't remember what it was, but it was Alicia Silverstone coming back as her Clueless character. I thought that was a fucking treat for some reason.
And that's the one I stepped out of the room for, I think. So I didn't even get to see that one. So
Meeting wings. But no, then like I heard that John Travolta was gonna do like a tribute to Olivia Newton-John, like by doing the Grease, like something Grease related. And then the commercial came on. There's no mention of her whatsoever. It's just John walking around, just like kind of barely singing the songs, and it's just all for T-Mobile.
That seems kind of fucking shitty. Just to be frank about it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like after I saw it and the initial disgust like wore off, I was just like, I don't know why I expected anything different. But the way that it was interpreted to me prior to seeing was that it was supposed to be some sort of tribute honoring her. And I'm like, that's fucking awesome that he would do that. And then I was looking forward to that. And then it started and I'm like, oh, here we go. And then it's just like, no, buy our T-Mobile shit. And I'm like, fuck you.
Congrats. You sold out a dead body.
And I'm just like, and I'm like, this is why you are fucking Scientology's second, second son. Tom Cruise.
Our lawyers did not like that.
Tom Cruise is who they're proud of, and then there's little Travolta, and he's just like, I drew a boat, and they're like, yeah.
We'll put it right up on the fridge next to the Top Gun Maverick box office numbers.
Exactly.
And to Jacob's point, I am getting tired of the QR code shit. I might sound like a boomer for saying this, but I don't care. When I go out to a restaurant, I would prefer to have a paper menu because half of the time the cell reception in those places are god-awful and you can't even pull up the damn menu. And if somebody swaps the QR code out, congratulations, your phone just got jailbroke on you and you didn't even realize it. So I'm not scanning a QR code while I've got teriyaki on one hand and garlic parm in the other. I'm going to enjoy my wings and have a good time. The last thing I want to do during a Super Bowl is fucking scan a QR code.
Now, like I said, while the commercials were not doing it for me, and the game itself, I had to say, I'm like, well, it's nice that we have a game where the score keeps going back and forth or being tied. Like it's an interest. It's not just like one team took the lead and it's just a blowout from there and you're just waiting for the shit to end like most
Right.
years. But the only unfortunate part is that I'm like, well, that's good. It's between two teams I give less than a shit about. But I was just like, whatever, whatever. Now, as you know, I went up to my dad's. That he has an annual Super Bowl party, which he's had for a good couple of years. Uh, did not have one last year due to illness, but this was the first one. Like, all right, everything's back on, everything's a-okay, and it's always been the same crew. Now, let me set the stage for you. I am the youngest person there by like 35 years.
Was the party sponsored by the AARP?
It could have been.
It could have been. Okay.
But now, I'm going to tell you, I had a lot of interesting experiences, and I'm just sitting here thinking, I'm like, if I'm going to compare this party to the parties I used to be in when I was in my younger 20s, and I'm like, don't get me wrong, there were a lot better drinks and a hell of a lot harder drugs in the younger party. But I like chilling with my older crew, man. It's fun and reassuring, and it calms the nerves when the people passing out next to you, it's just because they're old versus they're fucked up on some shit.
Strongly agree.
Yeah.
Sir.
But no, like I said, it's the same group of people that have been coming every year, and no, they're a lively bunch, and they're awesome. And what was even great is because, like I said, nobody gave a shit about the particular. And I mean, these are football people, but they just didn't give a shit about these teams either. The one dude, the older guy that was sitting next to me, he apparently saw the Finding Hitler show about all the escaping to Argentina and stuff. And I'm just sitting there, yeah, we just talked about that for an hour. And my dad's just like, he's like, there's German towns in Argentina. And we're like, turn the game off, pull up the History Channel.
Jamie, pull that shit up on the big screen.
Exactly. It was wild, and we had wings, and we had all this great food. It was a good time. It was a good time. And I'm just sitting here, and I'm like, when the day comes and the kids put me in the fucking home, it ain't gonna be that bad.
I'm unlocking a core memory here. Remember the commercials for the Sunset retractable awning?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Maybe not that particular thing, but when you get your own place, whether it's a place you retire to or whatever, and you have that backyard with the canopy coming off the house there, and you got the little table and the fire pit and all that, and you have your party there, that's when you have truly hit relaxation mode. I feel like that's the ultimate party, because everybody around me, about my age at that point, and damn, we're sitting out here not over drinking, but we are having a good time, and it's not too busy. That's the one thing I kind of missed about college, and I also don't miss, because I do miss the parties that got out of hand at some point, but at the other time I'm like, damn, if everybody's going to be out of here by 10:30 and I can go to bed, that's pretty damn cool.
Yeah, it's like you get the best of both worlds.
Shit.
Now, I expected a lot of movie trailers. I got some, not all the ones I expected. I didn't bother watching the newer one of Cocaine Bear, because not to say anything bad about Cocaine Bear. I'm really looking forward to Cocaine Bear, actually. But it's just like, I saw that first trailer. That's all I need to see. You sold me already.
You sold me with a name.
Yeah. Then there was the only other ones that I would mention is the Guardians 3 trailer, which was a little bit more upbeat, finally, a much more positive trailer. But again, I was gonna see that anyway. I'm fine. The two I wanted to talk about is so first there's the what was it? I don't know if it's I can't remember if it's 64 or 65, but the fucking Adam Driver fucking
65.
one. 65. There we go. Um Now I saw the teaser for this a couple months ago. I think I posted it, or at least we talked about it. Um, and it looked interesting. This was the full-fledged trailer, and it looks all sorts of dumb fun. I like Adam Driver. He's a good actor. You know, I always fucking freak out and forget when he's just like, "Oh, I used to be a Marine." And I'm like, "Shut the fuck up." But then I'm like, "Oh wait, no, he used to be." That was his thing. Um, so he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And uh but it looks like a really cool combination of like Jurassic Park and Halo and not sucking.
It looks like Ark, but not boring.
Right. So like I said, like I want to go see him and this little girl run around through the fucking jungle with the dinosaurs and the Halo guns. Like I'm more than ready for this. It looks fun.
Now, that movie brings up an interesting question. Are we slowly slipping back into the bygone era of Grindhouse? Even if the movies have a little bit too much polish? Because are you telling me a movie that takes place 65 million years in the past with Halo guns and Adam Driver is not the thought of somebody who was on a 3-day bender and was like, hey, we can make a movie about dinosaurs and Adam Driver can shoot them?
You know, I don't want to project too much onto this film. I really want it just to be good, dumb fun. That's the least I could hope for, and that's all I need it to be. But I see the potential for something in this, and it would be hilarious, a hilarious good potential to see, because it would just make me chuckle. But I'm like, are we at an era where we could take like I've mentioned this movie so many goddamn times throughout the course of us doing this show, and here I am. I'm gonna fucking bring it up again. The fucking Stone Cold Steve Austin movie, The Condemned. All right.
The glass just broke.
Right. All right. Here we go. That is a good dumb movie of its time. All right.
Yeah.
But that is a movie that like we appreciate dumb, good, stupid shit like that, but generic audience, generically speaking, it's a stupid, shitty movie. All right.
Yeah.
When I see 65, I see a movie of that time, like the shitty, dumb thing, but they're doing something to it that's actually giving it credibility. It's the same kind of thing, but they've just tweaked it and made it like a real thing.
And that's a step in the right direction to get to cast a net for a wider audience. I think it's what they tried to do with The Expendables, which is a kind of a, I don't know if you particularly liked it or not, but the Expendable movies was kind of like
it's the Avengers of action heroes.
Yeah, which is what the Wild Geese was back in the day when with oh my gosh, I can't remember. Roger Moore's in it. There's I want to say Richard Burton, but I don't think that's right. But then, you know, Magnificent Seven and things like it's all of that kind of thing. And that Magnificent Seven played off of Seven Samurai, and you slowly started peeling back the layers of like critically acclaimed film, and you're just like, they need to go out there and shoot at each other for 95 minutes, and we need to collect a paycheck. And you know, you're teetering down to that point, but then you're trying to build it back from that, and that is kind of what the I think that does kind of feel like what the Adam Driver movie is. It's building it back to something that can get all audiences, and not just us crazy bastards who are like, yes, we do want 1990 Bronx Warriors remade, and we wanted it yesterday.
Yeah, like it would be like doing that movie now and then just adding like, not to say that movie didn't have substance. It had a lot of something, and I'm sure that when they made it, there was a lot of substances. Um,
Allegedly.
allegedly. But it's just like just making it fucking just digestible for today, where I'm like, you know what, you could do something there. I'm looking forward to it. It looks like good dumb fun. But I don't know. It would be fun. Now,
I think you're in the ballpark for that though. Like if that movie does well and it has the room for sequel potential, that
I'm just thinking back of all of the, in the year 2025. Well, of course, like that's just like what 2 years from now. But I'm thinking when you heard that and it was like 1998, and you're just like the year 2025. Holy shit!
because they didn't get ambiguous with it like Mega Man did with it was like
You know what?
200X.
I used to hate that they did that, but the more and more we get into those years, I'm like, you know what? That was a smart move.
I didn't mind it, but
and it's just like, I know you couldn't have used the same trick in Back to the Future, but you know that they sit there and they're like, man, I wish we could have done that.
we're not gonna have the hoverboards ready for 2015 and the self-lacing shoes. Fuck.
Well, they sold the shoes. I don't know if they self-laced or not, but they did. They did market some limited edition shoes, and I wish I could have got some. That would have been fucking baller. But then there was kind of amongst all of the things going on, there was only one trailer that I knew I was gonna fucking get, that I was expecting and looking forward to, and it's the one that everybody who's watched the show knows that I'm like, yep. Let me see this Flash trailer. Now, let me state where I was at pre-watching this trailer.
Okay.
I think it was about a year ago, or maybe a little less than a year, but a good hot minute ago. DC did its DC Fandom fucking event thing, and they gave us a teaser, like a small teaser of this. And barely a teaser, but there was enough shit thrown in there that it was exciting. I loved it. I loved what I saw. Now, and of course, since then, Ezra Miller has been Ezra Miller. But you know what? I don't even give a shit. Yeah, I mean, I would prefer of that not have happened. But, that's not what I'm here to comment on. I'm only here to talk about the movie in and of itself. I don't think we have to worry about Ezra being the Flash moving forward. So it's already out of my mind.
Which I'm glad you brought that up because everybody seems to think that when they're saying they're standing behind him, that he's going to be the Flash moving.
Oh no! They need to. They expect a good portion of people to purposefully not go see this because of Ezra. So they need to sell this shit. James Gunn had absolutely nothing to do with this, and he's saying it's the best comic book movie that's ever been made so far, until he starts throwing out his fucking shit. But he needs to fucking sell this. The director Andy Muschietti, like he did work. All right, he did work, and it's not his fault that the fucking main actor of his movie ended up being a fucking douchebag. All right, it's not his fault. It's not Michael Keaton's fault that his grand return as this character should be squandered by this fucking turd nugget. All right. It's, that's how I'm looking at it. I'm like, we already know. Now, they need it to sell, so they're not going to say before the movie comes out that he's not going to be the Flash anymore, because that would undermine trying to sell the fucking movie in the first place.
There's no point going to see it if you don't think it's going to continue.
But nowhere is it been set in stone 100% moving forward that he will continue to be the Flash. They have said that Ezra has started to get the help that they need, and we're very happy, and that they continue to move forward with that. That's what they're supposed to say. That's not, we're going to keep him as the Flash, or them, whatever the fuck they want to be called. But, it's, and I only say that because they are criminal,
Yes.
But,
yes.
But I'm not worried. It's already out of my mind. Like, so all of that drama to me has been solved and rectified moving forward.
Yep.
Now, I am not one of those people. Again, I'm not one of those people, especially when it comes to comic book movies. Now, this is based off of a particular story, a Flashpoint story. That's the fucking name of the movie. Never once am I the guy that's like, it's okay, it's going to be exactly how it is in the comic. It never is. And quite frankly, I don't always want it to be. I want to see their interpretation. Give it to me cinematically. I understand that the mediums are different, so you have to change shit. So again, I it wasn't that, but for some reason I watched this new trailer. And I know I'm in the minority, but I'm like, hit me the wrong way. Didn't dig it. Did not dig it. Saw tons of cool shit. Shit that maybe a year ago I would have been fucking applauding and standing up and rooting for. But for some reason, and I know that this is the wrong attitude to have going into this movie, especially because, like I said, the director deserves the credit. All the other actors and actresses deserve credit. Everybody, but it's hard knowing that the majority of this movie is not going to matter in the grand story of the grand scheme of things. I know that's the wrong attitude to have. I don't want to have that attitude, nor do I think anybody else should have that attitude. But the way that it's being presented, especially after the presentation that Gunn gave, the only thing that's going to matter is the last 20 minutes. So all the cool shit I saw in the trailer was Zod, Supergirl, all that stuff. I'm like, that's cool. It's not going to matter in a few minutes, though. And it's just like, I didn't want to be that guy. I knew all of this going in, but I saw the trailer and I'm just like, just don't care.
It is kind of hard to sell it whenever you're saying that the only
And it's like,
20 minutes of the movie too.
Right, and I'm like, it's like, I don't want to be that guy. I want this to do well, not like I said, for all the other reasons, because it's our boy Keaton. They did the thing. They put the spot in the trailer. They made him say the line, I'm Batman. He did it, and it was great.
And you unlocked another core memory by doing that, and we're like, yes, we want that 1989 Batman. Now, I don't want to get tinfoil hatty here, but wrap that shit on, because here we go. Are they sabotaging the movie so that the good part of it, the 20 minutes, is the selling point just to get things moving? Or, because I don't think it's necessarily a direct slap in the face to Ezra Miller for basically being one of the many reasons that the franchise is breaking up. I mean, that I don't think that's really much of a stretch of the imagination to think. Or are they Hideo Kojimaing it, and are they misrepresenting what is happening, similar to how the Watchmen trailer did? Because, like you were saying earlier, and that's where my brain immediately went to, Watchmen gets shit on, and I still can't figure out why, because it is not they say it doesn't follow the graphic novel close enough, and they're more, again, the last 20 minutes, they're more referring to the ending, that there wasn't a giant tentacle monster that took over various cities. It was giant big blue dick that is going to get blamed for everything, which I think was great, because it's a Cold War story, for one, and that one kind of, evil doctor, they don't always grow to 55 feet tall with, but, that kind of change was made to make it better for the screen, because I don't think you were going to be able to explain giant alien tentacle monsters in various cities to the film audience. I think that would have pulled too many people away, and really the only people that are bitching about the ending of Watchmen are the people who read the graphic novel, and even then, I don't think it's as vocal of a majority, and I might be wrong on that. Are they having to tinker with Flashpoint for that similar reason, that they have to try to bridge the gap between the diehard fans who are expecting it to go exactly like it did in the comic versus we have to do something different because if we're going to do it exactly like it happens in the comic, you can go read the comic.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was happy. I'm going to break this down, all right? And I'm going to nerd the fuck out for a minute.
Do it. Do it.
So there are parts of this that I think from a overall company transition, like it is a transitional phase is what's happening here. From that perspective, this is the best way to go about it. Because in the comic books, that's exactly what Flashpoint was used for. Because there was all the shit that happens before the Flashpoint story, and then the Flashpoint story happens, and at the end of that, the timeline is fucking reset, and there's some differences and shit like that, and then thus we get the new 52 era of comics. So what they're doing is that we have the Snyderverse stuff, which is everything before Flashpoint.
Yep.
Then we're going to have the Flashpoint movie, and at the end of it, when the timeline is all we're going to get James Gunn's Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters. That's what they're doing. So from an outside, they're doing the right thing with the right story. So on paper, this fucking is an awesome thing, and I approved.
Okay.
Now, not the things that are like I said, I never expect it to be the exact as the comic, and that's fine. I don't necessarily want it to be, but the things that I'm seeing, I'm like, why are we going about this? Like, why are these the certain moves that you're making? Including Zod is really the only thing that, and bringing it back to that Man of Steel battle and everything, that really is the only real part that super intrigued me. But the only problem is, and now, this isn't 100% as far as I'm concerned. There's, this is just an opinion I believe that I have read. It could be true. It could not be true. I don't fucking know yet. But they made a big deal. Well, not so much a big deal, but they were very adamant that Henry Cavill is out as Superman. So going back to Zod is cool, but we ain't got Henry Cavill. Now, I guess perhaps there could be some trailer deception. And there's maybe I'll give it maybe an 8% chance that he has some sort of cameo or something in this movie. But I think that they were pretty adamant that we're not going to use him we don't want to do anything like that. Things are cut out so people will stop having him in their minds as Superman. It would go against everything that they've done thus far if he's in it, I think. Hence why I think we have Supergirl. Now they've come out and said that there is in the first Man of Steel that there's an Easter egg to hint that she's always been there.
Uh-huh.
I'm fine with that. I don't give a shit. But Unfavored pointed this out to me after he watched the trailer, and he's just like, "You notice anything slightly different about her story?" And I was like, at least in the trailer, and I'm like, "You're right. It is." It's kind of it looks like they're going the Superboy origin, but they're using Supergirl instead. But this is a multi-universal thing. Fine, that's fine. But it's just like they're using her instead of Cavill because they should have used Superman to have with Zod, and then they're giving her another character. I'm just like the average person who doesn't know a lot of the shit of they're not gonna worry about. This is just the shit that I know that's going to give me a headache.
Sure, yeah.
You know what I mean? The average person's I don't think is going to have these issues like me. But I'm just sitting here trying to think of the reasoning behind certain things. Because like I said, I'm like, it's cool we're having Zod, but we don't have fucking Cavill. So what are we doing? Oh, we're bringing in this other character. All right, that's fine, but we're gonna give her yet another character's story instead of her own. And I'm like, what, why? What is happening? It's too much. I'm like, this is Inception all of a sudden.
And you don't need that when you're about to hard reset your entire
Mm.
franchise.
Now, another thing I noticed that, again, this is just how I interpreted the trailer. I could be totally wrong on this. But he comes across another version of himself, as one would in stories like this. Maybe like it looks like so the main Flash is the one post the Justice League movie. The other Flash that he runs into, and I don't even know if this person has powers or yet not, but eventually you do see another one in a suit, so I think he does. Looks a few years younger than the Justice League events. But when we first see him, there's a scene in the trailer where it looks like they're at like the side of a house or something, and he's wearing a lot of yellow. And I'm like, oh, and I'm like, I really hope that they're not saying that that's the Reverse Flash, because now, yes, the Reverse Flash is very integral to the Flashpoint story. He's like the main villain of the fucking story.
Yeah.
But he wasn't necessarily another version of Barry. That's the thing. Like, he was his own kind of person. You know, he didn't look exactly like Barry.
Yeah.
Now, it was also pointed out that possibly, and I'm like, you know what, this is a stupid cop out, but if it is the cop out that they go, I'm like, at least they read into it and they used the right cop out. But there's like, you know, because the Flash can vibrate so fast, make himself look different. And I'll be like, that would be so stupid, and a lot of people wouldn't understand that. That would be a horrible general public decision to make. But at the same time, I'd be like, all right, they've at least opened the comic book.
if they do something to establish that's what's happening, maybe. But yeah, if you have to, I think we've talked about that before. Like, if you have to go out into the world to get your story for the movie you're going to see, it's a little bit damaging to the product, I think, at the end.
But it didn't feel great to me. You know, like I said, there's so much cool shit. And when it comes to the Reverse Flash is not a, now I know DC and Marvel are fucking different. I understand that. But the Reverse Flash is not a Thanos level villain. Or if, like I said, if we're going to stick with DC, it's not a Darkseid level villain. But I feel that this is not a one-trick pony villain. The Reverse Flash is kind of an important being. So I'm like, now I understand we're all out of time. We can't go back. Well, if we were the Flash, we could go back in time and fucking fix this. But
Yes, we could.
but since none of us can run that fast, I really wish there would have been some sort of at least setup or an allude to him, and maybe saw him once in a post credit or something like that, and then we get him. But for him to just show up and then it all be resolved in just one movie, it's just unfortunate. I mean, like I said, they're out of time. What are you gonna do? But that would irk me. But who knows? Maybe it's not even a Reverse Flash. I think it would be really weird to tell the Flashpoint story and not have the Reverse Flash, but at the same time, it wouldn't surprise me. This movie was made like a couple years ago. This isn't something that they just fucking finished doing. They've been sitting on it. So this was previous people's decisions, not current.
And it wasn't a good situation to begin with either.
Right.
That is something we noticed with like Scream movies and stuff too, where if your production is troubled in certain areas, the movie tends to just be great. And that's what I'm hoping for with this, is that with all of the trouble the production had with Ezra Miller, with, you know, DC infighting, with all of that other stuff that's gone on, is that we can at least walk away from it at the end and say, you know, DC in their main line now, they've done a great thing to lead into hopefully greater films. And more importantly, because like you said, you don't want to turn into an MCU versus DCU thing. Sorry, dogs are barking, which is making my dogs not bark up here. You don't have to have the rivalry at that point.
Mm-mm.
You can coexist, which is that's a great message. But also great for us too is that we don't have to do 15 Marvel projects a year. We can say we're gonna do, you know, we got 2 Batman movies to watch or whatever, and you know, life's good that way. That, I think, at the end of the day, will probably be the most important thing, because they're just going to drive each other's numbers up at that point, because you're going to be seeing better quality things. I'm not going to blindly follow James Gunn, because everybody will make mistakes. But I do trust him from where he came from, which was a filmmaking background, which is a learning experience. It's tough. It's tough making movies on budgets less than $100,000, which still sounds like a lot of money, but in the grand scheme of things, I mean, what's the average movie cost to make now? Like 20 times that? More? 100 times that? So
I talk very highly of Gunn a lot, but let it be stated that yes, I applaud the fact, because we do know his background. That speaks very highly of him.
yes.
And we know that he's a fucking nerd, and he's into the lore of this universe. It's a project he's passionate about. He's just not some guy that's like, I'll take the high-paying job.
Yeah.
But it brings up the question where it's like, when you're doing stuff like this, is it a requirement that the person behind, the brain behind all of it, be somebody who is already a fan? I don't think that's the case. You can't get by on that alone. You put me in charge? Yeah, that'd be fucking great. I've got a lot of great ideas. I can't fucking make that movie. I can give you all the ideas till the fucking cows come home. I don't know the first thing about putting this together. So you do need skill as well.
Yeah.
And I believe that he has tremendous amounts of both. But at the end of the day, like I said, like that first movie, which I think is I'm pretty sure is going to be the Superman movie. That first one needs to fucking blow everybody away. That's what he needs to do.
Objectively, has to blow everybody away.
Objectively, yes.
Yeah, because people are still up in arms over the Henry Cavill thing, and if they had read that they needed to go younger with for the story, it probably would make that an easier pill to swallow. But it's the same reason that Daniel Craig didn't want to do James Bond forever.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of shit takes wear and tear on you, and everybody loves to talk about how nerdy Henry Cavill is, because he is. It's great. It's great. It's great. It's great to have a handsome devil in your corner finally. But I think a lot of people may have missed, or maybe they just don't care, that yes, he loved playing that role, but The Witcher, everybody loved The Witcher. Now he's getting Warhammer. I don't even know shit about Warhammer lore, and now all of a sudden I want to go out and buy all of the books and better understand it for going into that. Just because he did great in the current universe doesn't mean that he's going to do great in the new universe. And I know it sucks. I wanted Daniel Craig for another Bond. I wanted Tom Hardy and Christopher Nolan to do the Bond movies, but that ain't gonna happen. But bless you, sir.
I shouldn't have blown that out my nose.
But you know what I mean? Like, actors in franchise roles like that may not be good for the franchise moving forward, and especially with comic books where you have so many iterations of the characters too. And like you just brought up New 52, but there's way more than that out there for you to look at. Again, Red Sun.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Mhm.
maybe they'll bring Henry Cavill back for that, and I would.
It's a possibility because, like I said, I like the fact that they have an established section called Elseworld for things that are not part of the collected universe. So you can get a Red Sun movie made, and it'd be
and
okay.
and we would be so happy with that. I mean that's franchises I know are tough for reasons like that, but at the end of the day, if you were on a sinking ship, wouldn't you want to jump on the lifeboat to preserve what life you can? And it feels like that's what James Gunn has tried to do with it. And yeah, he's getting some backlash, but when that first movie drops, if it's a knockout, hit, I think the tune will change a little bit. There will still be people bitching for the sake of bitching about it, but as long as we're having fun watching the movies, I couldn't care less.
No. It's the a lot of companies and stuff are putting themselves in a lot of interesting situations. And speaking of Bond, what was it? They're kind of, it's funny because every time we talk about the Superman situation, I'm thinking about the current Bond situation and how oddly identical they are. Because I was never too big on Daniel Craig's Bond movies. Nothing against Daniel Craig. It's just I don't know. I just couldn't get into that whole way that they did it. I subscribed to the theory that the next Bond would be amazing if it was Idris Elba.
Oh yeah.
I would really have liked to have seen that, but that just like Superman, they want to go young. They want somebody that they can fucking pimp out for a while. Understandably so.
It's a business at the end of the day.
Right. And even though that means I would not get Idris Elba, like I said, I like the idea of I want to see young Bond learning to be Bond, even though I know it wasn't fucking Daniel Craig's isn't Casino Royale, isn't that like his first fucking shit?
Yeah, and it has the GoldenEye style whiplash with it, where you're like, damn, okay, this is what we're gonna get, and he is. I think he in the opening scene he gets awarded his 00, which by the way is 2 O's and not 2 zeros. Did not realize
that. So I don't know, So it's gonna be weird then, where it's like we've got a younger looking Bond, but he's supposed to be further along than Daniel Craig.
I think they're gonna do the soft reboot that they did with that they really do with every Bond. The only exception is in almost all of them, Lazenby's movie is mentioned on Her Majesty's Secret Service because the saddest fucking ending to a Bond movie I think I've ever seen. So there's a little bit of that.
For the record, while I was hanging out with my dad, I brought that up. And he was just like, wasn't that the weirdest fucking thing? And I was like, was it weird back then? And he goes, even because he would have seen it back then. He's like, no, yeah, it was weird back then too.
Yeah. And you know what's funny is that much like Halloween 3 being the bastard child of the Halloween franchise, On Her Majesty's Secret Service is now in I think the last poll they ran, it was the 3rd favorite. And I'm like, it makes sense. I mean, it's a good movie. It makes sense, but y'all really like that downbeat ending. GoldenEye was also in the top 3. Don't you worry. It was also up there. So. But yeah, who's the Aaron Taylor Johnson? Who is more than likely at the end of the day going to be?
That was Kick-Ass, right?
I think he was Kick-Ass, and he was
Quicksilver.
Quicksilver. Mm-hmm. Yep. So I mean, that's an interesting pick. He is young. I think he's 32 or 34. So
I just keep thinking him with the wavy, fluffy hair. So I'm like, I think as long as I see him with his hair done up in a proper Bond do, then I'll be on board. But until I can actually see that and burn that into my mind, I'm I see the flowing,
the locks.
Yeah. And I'm just other than that, that's the only thing going against him right now. But yeah.
And and some people didn't like Daniel Craig as Bond initially, but then he got that explosive opening with Casino Royale. So my guess is that's what they're gonna have to do. And I actually just saw a pretty decent Photoshop of him with the Bond hair, so I think we might be okay. I think we might be okay. I love though that we just had weird crossover there with James Bond. That's okay.
Like I said, it's odd how they're similar situations. Now let me throw this question out at you. Now, I am not one that's properly caught up on these other movies, but I don't know if you are or not either. But out of curiosity, in the general public's eye, let's take the last. I'm trying to see how interesting do I want to make this. Let's play it. Let's take the last two Bond movies. All right, the last two that came out theatrically, and the last two Mission Impossible movies. Who do you think won generic public wise? What do you think was better?
So I haven't seen the last two Mission Impossibles. I have them. I just haven't watched them yet. But I have seen the last two Bond movies. Spectre is teetering the line of being great at being a throwback to some of the goofier older ones while still trying to maintain the Daniel Craig grit.
Mm-hmm.
And No Time to Die was ballsy. And I respect it for that. Everything I've heard about the last two Mission Impossibles was that they were consistent. And so in the public eye, probably Mission Impossible, because it is... Tom Cruise took... Bless him. Tom Cruise took what was probably one of the first Mission Impossible movies, one of the best spy thrillers I think that has.
I love the very first one with the fucking hanging off the roof and everything, like
It's
in
classic.
that secure room. Like I thoroughly enjoy that movie. I watched it on VHS a lot as a kid, and it's only gotten better as I've gotten older.
Yeah. And you got the spy shit, you've got the settings, you got all that cool stuff. The second one's a John Woo movie. You can, even if it's not as good as the first, it's a fucking John Woo movie, and everybody loves John Woo movies.
What was it? I got it confused until I watched the first couple of them again when I was still in Michigan. Now the second one is the one that ends with the beach fight, right?
Yeah, with the doves and all that shit.
So I thought that was the third one. For the longest time, and like I'm watching them with my wife, and we watched the first one, and I'm like, at the time I'm like, I think people really hated the second one, but then they came back around on the third one, and I think that's the same thing with me. And I was expecting all the beach shit in the third one, but as we're watching the second one, I'm like, wait a minute, and then they get to the beach, and I'm like, uh-oh.
I goofed.
I'm like, I'm really confused. But there's just something about the slow-mo fucking side flips and stuff on the beach that I enjoy.
It's fun. And, you know, the guy that did Hard Boiled and The Killer did it. So it's like, of course I'm going to love it when I watch it. It's absurd, but I think that was the one that took it more in the, not generic action, but Hong Kong style action. And then the third one tried to bring it back into spy thriller. And
now, is the third one the one that didn't go over so well with people?
The third one I don't think went over well, but it wasn't hated.
Okay.
Because the second one I think was the one that most people were like, well, this just feels different, like way too different. And then the third one tried to bring it back around. Philip Seymour Hoffman's the villain. J.J. Abrams.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But then Ghost Protocol came out. And that is where it became spy action movie and not spy thriller. Because the third one had a little bit of both. It was close. I think it was closer of a nice combination of the first two. The second one was more action. The first one was more spy. And then Ghost Protocol was like, we're going to do crazy stunts because Tom Cruise might actually be crazy, allegedly. And then we're going to have all these set pieces. We're going to have a pretty decent plot. It's going to be all right. I think that's where it made the change at. And that will always appeal to the mass audience better than James Bond in that regard. James Bond in the new movies have continuity. just like the Mission Impossible movies do, but they scratch a particular niche, whereas I think Mission Impossible movies are more accessible to everybody, if that makes sense. Because
Yeah.
they're very
No.
similar, but they're also they're very different too.
The way that I look at it is with the James Bond movies, you kind of the story is irrelevant. All right, with James Bond movies, the story is irrelevant. How you know if you're going to have a good time at bare minimum is James Bond himself. But you have to buy the whole package. You have to buy the smooth, you got to buy the action, you got to buy the sincerity. Every aspect of Bond you have to buy in order at bare minimum to enjoy, I think, a James Bond movie. Now in Mission Impossible, as of late, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say it so much in the earlier ones, although this does exist in there, but they ramp it the fuck up as it goes on.
Yes, they do.
There are so many people that are just buying a ticket clearly because they're just like, I want to see Tom Cruise do some crazy shit. That's it.
Yeah. It's a total selling point for the movie. I would even say, even if you don't care for the story in the Bond movies, though, probably since the Dalton movies and the Lazenby movie, so we have to go back to the Lazenby movie again, is that there actually is something of substance to those. And so Lazenby, Dalton, GoldenEye, probably Tomorrow Never Dies. I actually really like the plot of that one. I do, because it's fitting. That and Cannibal Holocaust are side by side. Amazing. Two completely different genres. And then I wouldn't go World Is Not Enough, Die Another Day, but then in the Casino Royale, the Daniel Craig movies, they have continuity, and they actually have an attempt to bring the old stories back in a very fleshed out way. Quantum of Solace, there was a writer's strike going on during that, not gonna, kick it down. But Skyfall story, and you've got Javier Bardem as your bad guy. Fantastic. Who was the bad guy in Ghost Protocol?
The only thing I think I remember from that movie is in like the first 10 to 15 minutes, I thought the main villain was going to be was the same actor that was one of my favorite characters from Lost. But then I think he gets killed, and then I was like, oh, and then I don't remember the rest of the movie.
That's kind of how I'm feeling, because I was just being a smartass and was like, because the movie is so generic action at that point. Like you're there seeing Tom Cruise.
Is that the one where he was climbing the skyscraper on the outside? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. See, and then the next one he held on to a plane.
That's how you remember him. It's all they're like, what was the stunt?
And that's the sad part about it is that he could say, like, doing the plane thing, hanging off the side of the plane for Rogue Nation. He has all of this hype surrounding him. Remember, they released a teaser trailer of that Mission Impossible movie just of him holding on to the side of the plane taking off, and it sold tickets because they were like, this crazy bastard is going to come in here, probably die doing what he's doing, but damn, they're going to get a great shot out of it. And people bought tickets because that's what it is. It's like a stuntman movie. It's like Action USA, except it has better actors in it, and that's what the difference will always be. That's why they're more accessible, because they are just dumb action movies, and the Craig movies actually had plot to follow at a given point. Because which Craig movie did you stop with? Because you haven't seen all of them, have you?
I believe I've only watched Casino Royale.
Okay. Well, this is going to be a great Saturday then for you, because there's actually meat on the bone, so to speak, for those. But the set pieces are great.
My issues with it though is because having watched the earlier ones, like I know what they're attempting to do. And I like it. With putting the meat on the bone of the loose little continuity moments of the earlier ones and stuff like that. I like that. But it's one of those things where I'm like, it's kind of like, well, I've watched Next Generation, and then I've watched Picard, and I'm just like, well, there's something about just keeping it episodic, like singular stories, versus let's make the whole season one story. And I'm like, I guess you've got Star Trek wallpaper, but this really isn't Star Trek.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. I can at least say with the Craig movies though that it is a hard reset. That there, yeah, and you know this from Casino Royale, that it takes a little bit of On Her Majesty's Secret Service and throws it in. So it sets up a whole new universe. I wouldn't discount it yet. I think in particular, out of the five,
As the movies were made with him, like Skyfall and all these other ones and stuff like that, my interest to go through it, like rewatch Royale and actually go through it, has increased, because I'm like, I mean, I know I didn't really care much for that first one, and I was not in the right state of mind when I'm watching it. So I can't say I gave it a real fair shake, but I'm like, I'm willing to I've been wanting to go check it out because I've heard that they're really good. Not all of them, but the ones that are really good are really good.
Even the bad ones have great set pieces. I mean, Spectre's probably the worst. Actually, Quantum started to grow on me, but I don't even think Spectre's that bad. I mean, it's not it. It's that thing that happens where you're in a room with 5 good movies, and all of them are great on their own. But then you start comparing them to each other, and you realize that one of them you don't like quite as much as the other. It's the same sort of deal. And honestly, just out of watching all of them as many times as I have, you're gonna love Skyfall. If I think that probably will be the one that triggers your fancy, or whatever the saying, tickles your fancy. There you go. But I think that one's probably going to be the one. But they're a different breed because they do feel different than all of the other ones. Even when you had a different Bond like Dalton, that was the more serious and the more I will kill you Bond, this takes it to a whole different level with all of that stuff. And I think that is probably why not as accessible as Mission Impossible, but more depth. Much more. You're a lore whore.
Mm-hmm.
Go down that rabbit hole with the fact that Daniel Craig's Bond has a completely different identity than the others entirely. Like, it is a true hard reboot of the franchise. And as you go down those rabbit holes, you're like, holy shit, there is so much stuff here that you might not pick up on while you're watching the movie, but when you go back and watch them again, you're like, oh wow, that makes some sense here. So it's not the case of having to go out to understand your movie like I was talking about earlier. It's more things are intricately placed in the movie, plot-wise and character-wise.
Now let me pose this as a counter for this. Do you feel, now I have stated this many a times when this other franchise has come up into discussion.
Sure.
Do you think that I might have the same trouble with this Daniel Craig set of films, the same way that I talk about the Rob Zombie Halloween, where I'm like, I thought this is what I wanted, more meat on the bone, but really the stripped down, it's just, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I know it's different. I know they're very different things.
Yeah.
But
I want to see the Rob Zombie Bond movie. Or do I?
That could be a weird, wild ride. Anyway, like I just had a flash of various images, but anyway.
I don't think it's gonna go. I don't think it's gonna go that far because as detached as they are from the other movies, they ain't that damn detached. They're still the semblance of the gentleman spy. There's still the classic tropes. You have your Bond girl or girls. You have your flamboyant villains that are flamboyant to a point where they're almost in that larger than life feel that the Bond villains are, but at the same time they're kind of grounded. So yes, you're going to get a little bit more of the psychological aspect and a little bit more of Bond's background, but it's not ham-fisted and there's no white horse.
And
no, there is a white horse. Shit. Damn it, that's a Casino Royale. My bad.
Another thing I'll say that it's funny though to me is obviously I don't care which Bond movie it is, but like there are some that are better than others, but I wouldn't say that any of them are bad. Whatever the opening theme music is for any Bond is always fucking pretty top notch for the most part. In comparison, the only thing now, the James Bond movies, they've got a stellar fucking consistency of high quality. However, Mission Impossible did one thing in the music department, just one thing, and I really don't think it should be overlooked. All right. And I forget which one it was. I lean towards it being Mission Impossible 2. Might have been 3, but I'm pretty sure it was 2. But like I said, I know it wasn't the first one. But I think we can agree, objectively, that between 95 and 2005, not the best 10 years for Metallica. However, I Disappear on the Mission Impossible soundtrack. That's their one good song in that 10 years.
And that is a fair assessment of it. I would not argue with that. I'm still gonna go with Bond though.
Yeah,
I mean I can't not. But I'll put it this way: if you put first Mission Impossible and Casino Royale in the same room, and I have to pick one, I'm gonna have a hard time because I love spy shit. I did part of my fucking thesis on spy shit because I am so interested by the fact that it exists. But
well, let me because Ethan Hunt and James Bond, they more or less kind of have the same job, different, but they do a lot of the same shit. There's a lot more overlap than there is that isn't.
Sure. They go to the same parties, probably.
Yeah. Is there like an actual classification of the differences between them? Like, is James Bond like a this kind of spy, where Ethan is a this kind of one?
Well,
are there actual terms? Because I figure if there are, you know them.
So, you remember in the first Mission Impossible, they were talking about the knock list?
Mm-hmm.
Knock means non-official cover. So those are spies that are not overt spies. Like I don't even think chief of stations do that for the CIA. But like if you work at an embassy, and there's somebody whose title is chief of security, he's a spy. That's what his job does there. It's like everybody knows it, and you can't touch them. It's like the mafia. You don't go after somebody that's a made man. Non-official cover people, though, are illegals, as I think is what they call them. They're illegal spy, or all spying is illegal, but they're not regulars. They're people who are subverting without the title. Like if they get caught, they go to prison in that country. Like we've got people out in Russia that have been accused of it. Before Panama got invaded, there was a guy that they did a rescue mission on when we invaded Panama because he had been accused of spying. He was running an NGO, and they thought, no, you're spying for the U.S. government. So there are different facets of it. Bond is like the worst non-official cover because everybody knows his name and knows what he does. So he's kind of an overt spy, and Ethan Hunt's kind of the same way. I could get into the technicals on this, but I don't want to misquote myself on this, and that'll be we can have that conversation a little later. But like within the CIA, for example, they've changed the language on it. I think in the past 10 years, but they used to be called core collectors, and those were human intelligence officers that would go out and get information from people. They would get assets and do all that. What Bond and them are paramilitary operations officers, because they're doing, no pun intended, they're doing explosive shit. They are they're doing jobs in austere environments that usually requires a team of 1 to 4, sometimes more, that go out and they're doing sabotage stuff. They're, I'll send you a video of it later. It's a great one. I think it's in Beirut. A bunch of Delta Force dudes in the U.S. had been targeting this dude, and I think one of our spies was like, yep, this is where he's going to be at. They do an interdiction on him and, like, run his car into the wall, drag him out of the vehicle, throw him in the van, and gone. And it's like 15 seconds. Craziest shit I've ever seen. But that's the kind of stuff that your Bond officers do, and that's why they mentioned that he was a commander in the Royal Navy. Bond is former Special Boat Service, which is the sister service to the Special Air Service, the guys that saved the Iranian hostage thing. So,
I mean, I think it says it all in the differences between them, just in like the style of video game, whereas like Mission Impossible is like your Metal Gear fucking style game, where Bond is just fucking like just run and gun.
Which is weird because in the movies he's gadget, like, except for the Moore movies. We noticed this with the Roger Moore movies, that all of them ended with a gunfight between the good guys and the bad guys. That, like, it's like there's 20 minutes to go, y'all have to fucking fight each other now. But in the Bond movies, it's like Bond is doing a lot of sneaking, he's doing a lot of stealth. He, has times he doesn't kill people, and then you go and look at the Mission Impossible Nintendo 64 game, and it's like you have to kill everybody to get through the level.
Yep.
It doesn't make any sense.
It's like they make the at least in the first Mission Impossible. I don't really remember if it was a continuing thing in the rest of the series, but they made a really big deal about like the fake face maker thing, and it's just like you would think that would help Bond, but I'm like, Bond's not gonna, like, he's like, I'm too fucking pretty for that shit. He's like, what if the ladies see me?
I'm kind of embarrassed. I got it wrong earlier, by the way. It is 00. It's how you say it is 00, but
oh yeah.
Regardless, yeah, I feel like too, because the English were pretty known for doing disguise. Like, you can go to like spy museums and see like their old like disguise kits and stuff, and they're wild to see. I'm pretty sure Christopher Lee used one at one point because he has that horrifying line that he said during the filming of Lord of the Rings. That was when Peter Jackson was like, I need you to stab them and do it this way and imagine that it's like this, and Christopher Lee's like, I don't have to imagine what it's like to stab a man. And I'm like, holy shit.
What up, D?
D, welcome to Spy Talk. But yeah, I think Bond is such a titular character that you kind of have to. They don't want to cover up his face because he's the face that runs the place. When in real life, yes, he would definitely be.
Oh shit!
I didn't realize we were that quiet. Might be. Oh. Unidirectional. That's why. Is that better? Thank you. Yeah. I lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah. He's such a pretty boy, pretty face, all that thing. That they can't cover it up. But in in the real life situation, yeah, he would be disguising the hell out of himself and probably not using his real name, which is why they actually made fun of that in Casino Royale when he got to the poker game, because he even says, "Great, James. He knows my name is James Bond. That tells me that he only knows the name." And it's like, this can't turn out wrong at all. But you're not going to be getting hit in the nuts in about 30 minutes on the screen.
Nice. Well, I have a few last things I want to announce and mention before we get out of here. So we do have all this fucking James Bond talk. We do have a James Bond movie tonight.
It's a pizza movie.
But so first off, I've mentioned it before. I'm helping out our good friend Retro Game Commander, doing the Mega Meow Militia number 3. Like I said, it's a mouthful. I have to think about it. But it is to help kitties with special needs, kitties with diabetes, kitties missing limbs, all sorts of things that could trouble a cat being a playful cat. And tomorrow is the first of my 2 segments. I have one tomorrow, and I have one on Saturday. Let me see here. When the fuck is my time tomorrow? Oh, there it is. Tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern time to, it says 9, but I'm doing an hour extra. So 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. tomorrow, I'll be there. And then on Saturday, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. will be my time slots. Now to, like I said, even if you can't help out with a donation for the kitties, just think of the Sarah McLachlan music, the sad music.
Don't do that to me, bro.
Even if you can't, totally fucking fine. If your only way of supporting is just to drop in and say hello and just hang out for a little bit, that is awesome. That is where all of that can be found and take place over there on that Twitch page. And then, little housekeeping. Like I said, our YouTube page is up and going with a proper fucking URL and everything. It's fucking amazing. If you miss a show, that's where all our stuff is. The Pilgrimage of Retro and all of our future upcoming projects, which me and Gabe are looking at the boards and all the stuff that we've got up. It's a lot of exciting shit about to happen, ladies and gentlemen.
We're going to be dead tired, but you know what?
It's going to be worth it.
It's totally worth it. There is music in the air, so to speak.
Yes. But what Bond do we have tonight? Is it the last of the Pierce, or is it the second to last?
It's the second to last. It's The World Is Not Enough with the Garbage song, one of the best concerts ever.
Yes. Shirley Manson is one of my top 3 female vocalists. I love me some Shirley Manson, whether it's Garbage, and I love this fucking opening song. Even though that this is probably one of the lesser of the Pierce Brosnan ones. What's her name? It takes the innuendo and the Bond girl name to a dumb level.
They named her Christmas
for one joke. One joke.
3 seconds at the end of the movie, which oddly enough is what the joke is about. So there you go.
I like to. You know what? You know what I'm gonna do? I've not been able to do this. I'll be able to do it tonight. I'm going to watch this movie with a new lens. I'm gonna watch this movie that this is the same character from Tammy and the T-Rex, just later on in life.
Shit, that's just perfect.
Yeah.
Now, Ian, I am a little bit upset though because I forgot the overlap with the event, which I will be watching while we got the Bond movies. But you said 1 to 6 for Saturday.
Yep.
That'll knock out Quantum and half of Skyfall. So I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to rewatch Skyfall with you. Damn. But it's for
the kiddies.
It's for the kiddies, and honestly, I don't think I've ever told you this. I used to have a it stayed at my grandmother's, but I had a cat that was born with a it had four legs, but the one leg grew in reverse and at a curve, and it had no paw. So
Mm.
bad name, but we used to call him Peg because he kind of walked around like he had a peg leg, and we thought that's just the happiest damn cat that I have ever seen. You know, does not care about his situation. Probably not, you know, not aware of it
Right.
that he's missing a foot, but he didn't care. He was just so loving, and you know, I wish I would have had the resources to have been able to keep him at home. I think he would have lived a lot longer, but I will definitely be there for the kitties because I love my kitties.
Yep, yep. All right. Well, do you got anything else? That's about all the housekeeping that I had to do.
Um, do I thought I had one thing that I needed to address here, which makes it sound bad, but it's not. Um, for the collaboration efforts, because my brother has been kind enough to put movie lists together and do stuff to keep the Discord's back on fire again with movies pretty much every day, which is always good to
Nice.
see that we've got a rolling cinema. Next month he does have something planned that some of mine and Ian's uh, style of movies we'll just say will be featured in there as well. But tomorrow is a triple threat Thursday that we've been trying to do, and the movies have not been announced yet. But let's just say we got a Valentine's Day hangover planned. And I've got one movie that's going to make its premiere. We have never seen it. I picked it up on a whim. Thank you, Vinegar Syndrome, for making that possible. So we'll have that going on. And Ian and I were discussing before the show. We don't know when the summer event, I don't think we've discussed when that's actually going to begin. But before that, we will have Udwig Finnick month. I'm going to make that happen because she is beauty, she is grace, she will stab you in the face, and we love her for it. So be on the lookout for that announcement. I might get fancy with it and get our poster guy on something for us. So we shall see. That I think is all I've got. Movie starts at 9:30.
All right. Well, until next time, then, we will see you next week for the last call and movie in 30. So, later.